It's Delegate Angela Angel live from Charm City. So we are here with some great folks and we're going to talk about just politicking with Catalina Bird, with March Juice, and Maybin. And of course, I'm Delegate Angela Angel. And I want to thank you all for welcoming me in this city. Baltimore is like a second home to me. I love it here. And so tell me, what's going on in the state of Baltimore today? I've seen some things flying across the Twitter.
Babies don't have no heat.
Okay.
There's some people that are misdirecting their emotions and their anger. We're trying to work with the situation as best we can. But today's current state of affairs, as Aaron can tell you, is the babies don't have any heat.
All right. And Mr. Maybin, you brought this to light. So tell us what happened. Break it down what happened when you went to the school.
I'll go as far as to say that part of this was my fault because I was off on Tuesday, which is the first day that schools were back. And I had heard that some schools were having some issues, but I hadn't heard anything from my school. So, I'm thinking that every day, everything was as normal, a regular day back. And when I get to school today, as soon as I get in the building, I can tell that something's up because it's kind of like when you come into the building, you look for the reprieve from the cold on the outside of the building, and when I got inside, it was just as cold. So I'm like, all right, maybe something's going on, like maybe, they just turned the heat on or something like that. And I get upstairs and everybody's bundled up and, everybody's kind of still going about their normal routine. So I think, things will warm up in the first 30 minutes or so, but it never does. And when I finally get to talk to the principal before we actually start school, he tells me about how they haven't had heat for the past 2 days.
Wow.
And how the electricity was going in and out in most parts of the building.
Okay.
And, gas and BGE was supposed to be coming to take a look at it. So long story short, BGE comes and goes, and when they leave, it's worse than when they started. Like when they leave, it's not completely dark in the building, but pretty much all but a few lights are off.
Gotcha.
And, it's 40 degrees or below, and pretty much the whole building. So, I just lost it kind of a little bit at that point because, and this is not an indictment against my principal because he does everything that he can. He's a model, that I think that should be emulated going forward, and what some schools are trying to do. But, he's doing all that he can. As educators, me and the other teachers at the school are doing all that we can. But we can't expect kids to come into an environment like what I walked into today and expect them to get an education. You just can't. And the gross mass negligence that has been shown from an institutional level in this regard, it can't be understated and it can't be overlooked. Like, somebody has to answer.
So they didn't have coats to start with, like they went under school without coats.
A couple of them had jackets.
Gotcha.
And we all know that there's a difference between a jacket and a coat. And if you're standing outside in this kind of weather, the difference between the two is apparent.
Right.
And when it's the same temperature inside the school as it is outside, that difference is very plain. The kids that walk to school in sweaters or a thin jacket, it was evident for the entire day. You know what I mean? Like, and even the ones that did have coats, like being able to just sit and learn in an environment like that, like you have to keep them moving. You have to keep them, you know what I mean? Like raising their voice, lowering their voice, moving around, you know what I'm saying? Like keeping their heart rate up because you can't sit still in that kind of environment and be expected to focus, expected to learn, expected to...
The reason that I understand we're in, but we didn't have air or heat in Baltimore City schools 30 years ago. And so part of the outrage is coming at any current administration, be it on the city level or state level. So understand the history of this and how these buildings were allowed to be dilapidated is misguided to a degree. One of the things that I love the most about you is your willingness to work it out. Because Republicans and Hogan see today, what we're really talking about is that we have known this as Baltimore City residents. The children in these schools have gone to these schools. We didn't have heat in 1998 when I graduated. We didn't have air in 1998 when I graduated. We knew, whether you thought it was Marty Bass or Farm Long, that this was going to be a really bad winter, and nothing was done in a forward-thinking, proactive manner
To make sure.
to ensure that these children are going to be given conditions in my generation, truthfully, none more.
You know, it's interesting. So in Prince George's County, we haven't gotten that type of report yet, although I'm sure we have had schools that don't have heat. But
I have gotten told by several people that live in Prince George's County, though, that it is going on.
No.
So-
We've had some buildings last year that I know didn't have heat. We have plenty of buildings that don't have air. But one of the things we talked about politicizing education, I was recently in a meeting where someone said in the last, for our county, in the last like 2 or 3 school board meetings, no one had mentioned children. You know, and it was interesting. I had not attended those meetings, but it was really interesting for me to hear that, because I think if we go start looking at what's happening in some of these board meetings, everybody's fighting about all of these issues, but nobody's talking about what are we doing to help people.
Like, one thing that I'm fed up with at this point, especially today, is me being told who's really to blame. Me having somebody point their finger over there. Me having the lieutenant governor putting his finger over here and say, you know, money got to Baltimore City schools, and for the superintendent to point his money at his hand at North Avenue, and for North Avenue to point their finger at different principals. Like, I'm tired of that at this point. Like,
just need to figure out how to
that's
fix
what
the
we're
problem.
talking about, the whole idea of politicizing this. Like, to everybody that responded to me and my exposing of what's going on at my school and many others in this city, I would respond with, unless you're responding with what do we do to make sure that these kids aren't going to school in these conditions tomorrow, I don't care what you have to say.
Right.
Don't tell me how much is getting spent on each student. Don't tell me why the budget was cut in the first place. Don't tell me who is to blame. What are you doing about it? Because everybody wants to point at somebody else and say how I'm not culpable in what's going on right now. And unless me as an educator, the politicians, the grassroots organizers, unless we can all admit that we are failing our kids, I don't want to hear what you got to say, because you're trying to pass the buck to somebody else rather than take ownership of, I'm failing them because I didn't know about this situation yesterday. You know what I mean?
We've been failing our children since we were born. And it's not just Baltimore, it's across this nation. And we as a people, because the majority of the children that are being impacted are children who look like me, who look like us. And until we decide that we're going to vote the right politicians in place, until we decide that we're not going to allow the superintendent, we're not going to allow whatever administration, whatever president, until we vote, until we get involved, until we get up off of our behinds and make a decision that we want to change the lives of the black people in this community, we're going to continue to get the same. We're being marginalized because we've allowed it to happen. And until there are these few people having this conversation, it needs to be bigger than that. We don't need just an Al Sharpton going out. We need more of these conversations out loud. We need more of these people galvanizing communities to make people responsible, to make sure they're registered, to make sure they're voting, and to make certain that at each beginning of the school year, every school in this city and across this nation are ready to deal with the elements of this nation. The elements haven't changed. Since I'm 65, they've never changed. Schools were cold back when I was going to school. But what was going on in those communities where my parents and our neighbors in South Bend, Indiana were going up to those schools and making sure that their kids were going to be warm. Until we make that decision, until we look at the population in the schools that are being impacted and say, does every child in this school have a coat? We haven't done that. And what's happening at every school in this nation, that every community surrounding that, and everybody who has more than $1.95 in their pocket makes certain every child has a coat to get to school. Because first of all, by the time they get to school in sub-zero weather, they can't even function because they're frozen. So we've got a bigger issue that's our responsibility. And we can blame blame all the politicians that we allowed to get there. And we didn't hold them accountable. We've allowed this foolishness.
But what I'm talking about is different than that. It's different than the whole idea of me. Like, that's exactly what I said I'm tired of. Us pointing at a politician, us pointing at, like, what are we
That's what
doing?
I'm saying. That's just
So
what I'm
at the
saying.
end of the day, like, what we've been focusing on today in the here and now is both the issue of coats, space heaters,
Right.
different
That's what I was gonna
generators,
ask.
different,
That's
like
what I
every
was gonna
school,
ask.
every school has
But
a
if there's
different.
an electrical problem, how do we deal with that? And where are the contractors to help us make certain they're working?
We have certain people that are reaching out, but at the end of the day, like, people that are reaching out, they're reaching out based on what I've shared or what somebody else has shared. But what I'm talking about is giving voice to the larger issue of why while I might have the largest platform, and because of my platform, people are noticing what's happening at Matthew Henson. It's about 15, 16 schools that are going through the exact same thing. in the
Exactly.
Same city. So I'm not trying to make people think that this is a one school, one district type of thing. This is a citywide issue.
It's a statewide issue.
Yeah.
Statewide
It's a
issue.
statewide issue.
Exactly.
And
So-
unfortunately, it's been politicized to the point that people who want to help can't do so openly and publicly. While Aaron used his platform, and he's different, he's an athlete, he's an author, he's a teacher, people reach out to me directly because they can't go on record. They can't be in public record on the street or on Facebook disagreeing with the governor or
Yeah.
disagreeing with a certain
There's been plenty of people that reached
But
out to me
we're
today and say, like, look, I'll support, I'll donate, but I can't speak against this person.
But the
Right.
thing is,
Can't
the
speak
thing
against
that
that
we're
person.
working
That's
with
a reality.
is broken infrastructure. We knew 7 years ago, we knew 10 years ago that our electrical grids were not up to date and could not support certain types of technology. So now the issue is not who wants to bring the space heater. The question is, will the space heater shut out power for that whole community that surrounds the school? Because if you're trying to heat the school so bad that you take power from all of the people that live around there,
So we're talking about
it's a lesser of
It's a
two
bigger
evils.
issue.
So there's-
Now you got a bigger issue.
So now we're talking about, which is interesting, because I'm the chair of the National Black Caucus State Legislature. I am the energy chair, and so we talk about this and how in many urban areas we are not ready for, like you said, we're not equipped for modern technology. We don't have the grid that we need. However, getting the money to go ahead and rebuild the grid and then making the decisions about which areas get that funding.
But it's not just that. We got casino, we got chemical, we got so many things, a lottery that was supposed to invest in Baltimore student education. So first the question is, where is that money really ending up? Right? Now, to be solution oriented,
Which is a very valid
to
question.
Aaron's point, to be solution oriented, 21st century schools can't be the only fix because we're not building all the schools in the 21st century schools, just some. Okay? But when I have a conversation and I say that I have somebody who has the money anonymously that wants to bring a generator to Matthew Henson, and the response I get is that it will take until the spring when we won't need the generator to go through the permit, design, and contractor approval processes. That means we need to change some processes.
Yeah.
Same way the mayor said it takes too long to make police officers to get on the street to combat our crime and our underdeveloped force, then that means the process at North Avenue is too long to be able to figure out if you have somebody who wants to give you a heat generating source, a power generating source, that the red tape is too thick to figure out how to get it there legally. Because we can just show up, but somebody will get arrested.
That's what I'm saying. Like, yo, like at this point. But here's my thing, and I get all of that. That's cool, and I'm in a position where I can just flat out say, I'm not letting the kid stay cold while we go through this red tape. My class will be warm. I'm gonna say it like that. And if you wanna,
You gonna burn them up? You
Oh,
gonna
no.
start a bonfire?
My class will be warm because they were teachers. They were, I can't say teachers, but I'll say it like this. It was people in the building that had space heaters today. They knew what the issue was and all that kind of stuff. So until y'all say we just gonna close the schools until further notice while we get this thing worked out, or until you tell me that, look, this is what we've established in the interim, we're gonna do what we have to do to educate our kids in a safe environment.
And I think that's
You know know what I mean?
admirable. Should there be a fund that you create that
We're
gives
raising
us,
some money right now.
so it's a public fund that people can donate to?
Yeah, it's a GoFundMe account. If you go to any of my social media platforms, on Twitter it's Aaron M Maybin, AARON MMAYBIN. At Instagram it's just Aaron Maybin, AARON MAYBIN. But the link will be in my bio, and it will be a link to a GoFundMe page where it's not even me that's raising the money and all that kind of stuff. These are two young black women organizers in the city of Baltimore who I trust, who I know, who I know for beyond a shadow of a doubt would die before they ever stole a dime from our babies. And they've already contacted, besides my school, all the rest of the schools that they've contacted also are having the same issues, and they're raising money, not just to bring generators and coats and mittens and all that kind of stuff to my school, but to all the schools that are affected.
But in terms of policy and long-term solutions, let's talk about looking at 21st century education models that are being used around the world, where whiteboards are interactive. My children went to private school, and I don't have any qualms admitting that because, again, Baltimore City Public Schools have been this way since I was a child.
My daughter's homeschooling.
And your daughter's homeschool. So in a whiteboard interactive, you wouldn't even need the bureaucracy of closing a school. The teachers would have been able to interact from the internet at home with students who have the internet at home and done their assignments. Then here's the issue. Some other people got to fulfill their Obama promise and bridge this digital divide. Because now, even if we had the whiteboard technology, all our kids don't have Wi-Fi.
Community that I teach
so they don't have coats, they don't have Wi-Fi, they have electrical gear.
Digital divide still is.
It's for them taking power. It all comes back to policy, which is the importance of knowing who you elect, holding who you elect accountable, and understanding what their platform really is versus what they say when they're running. What is their body of work? Have they brought resources to the community they represent before, or are they just running on saying that they want to do so? Because it's the difference between saying so and doing so. Implementation and idea articulation, they have the same skill set. And we have had too many articulate people who don't know how to implement. The short-term solution to get through this cold weather break is one thing, but long.
So bringing that back to, because of course we're here talking about fundraiser. We're here at my fundraiser talking about the election. So bringing it back down to, and you said something about November, but remember, especially in Baltimore and Prince George's, our election is not in November. It is in June, because many of our decisions are made in the primaries. And so we need to make sure that you understand that you need to be making these decisions June 26th and during the early vote period that starts, I believe, June 15th, to figure out who you're voting for. And so looking at what's going on as far as, we all are primary-based localities. In Prince George's, we have a lot of people running because we changed our structure. I'm running for an open Senate seat. My senator is retiring, Senator Ulysses Curry. So in Prince George's County District 25, my seat is open. I currently represent it in the House, and I've been blessed and honored to represent our people. I've passed, as people know, I write a lot of bills. I'm going to be advocating for those for this upcoming legislative session. Go to advocateangel.com to follow what we're doing. Sign up, and we'll keep you abreast of all the different things that are happening so that you can come down to Annapolis and be involved. But as far as what's going on in this city, and as well as because you all observe what happens in Prince George's, what are your thoughts about what's happening currently as far as the challengers? There's a lot of people challenging for seats. There's a lot of people that are.
I think there's a lot of people of our generation and we're the same age that lived here, that know that these were our childhood, right? And are watching another generation say they still can't fix it, but they've been sitting there almost the entirety of our lives. And so we are on the cusp of a new era of political leadership. I'm excited to support you and some others who are our colleagues in Annapolis, because we watched them tell us they were doing better without doing better, and giving them hope for a number of decades. Not years, not terms, decades, whole lifetime. And now it's our children who are being.
All I know is, as Kat said, to Kat's point, You got generations now that have been fed the same BS, that have been fed the same hope during election time, have been fed the same promises, the empty veil promises during election time, and they've seen no follow through for so long, and now it's getting to the point where they see that the follow through is never coming. It's never coming from the people that operate in this way. And as to Cat's point also, the youth are up, they're rising. And what's literally going to happen in front of people's faces is you are going to see a whole generation politically disappear. Because people are so, whoever's president is in office right now has let people know one thing. All right, we're in the age now where people want the real. Who you really are, you know what I'm saying? Like what you really feel. And like, look, people have already seen, like, look, we did it politely before.
Right.
You know what I mean? We gave you polite politics. We gave you respectability politics. We gave you pull yourself up by the bootstraps. We gave you everything that you asked us to give you.
And we got nothing.
And we got nothing. So what you're gonna see is, you're gonna see young people continue to buck the system. You're gonna see the fall of the Democratic Party if they don't get their stuff together. And this is coming from somebody that doesn't hate Republicans, but dislikes pretty much everything about the Republican Party. But I'm admitting you will see a dismantling of the Democratic Party if they don't show themselves to be a true opposition to what's on the other side.
But do you
know what I mean? We politically play two sides of the fence all the time.
But do you think, I mean, for that to happen, the question becomes, will whatever the uprising is, will they be able to organize themselves enough
You're already
to
seeing
actually...
it. You're already seeing it. It just bucks what conventional wisdom has already said was the thing.
Well,
like, whenever anybody used to be talking about independent party, libertarian party, all that, people used to look at them like, oh, you're a joke. But talk to young people right now that actually identify as libertarian or independent party.
Or Green Party.
They know why the hell they belong to those parties. Like, it's a real...
But the question, but this is the danger or the question about that, because if they do not organize well enough to rule a candidate, we get what we get, like with Donald Trump, where yes, you organized, yes, you weren't with her, but you know what? They organized too, and they out-organized us.
They didn't out-organize. They out-marketed.
Yeah.
They use social media better, and we've got to, as the people,
we
generation that
drastically
grew up with this
underestimated
technology.
Well, underestimation is the best.
But here's my thing, and I'm not, and I know that you get money from Democrats, but all I'm saying, right, is here's my thing. Black women celebrated with every Beyonce meme they could find after Doug Jones beat Roy Moore. And why is Doug Jones the first Democrat in D.C. to have a black chief of staff? We've been carrying that party. So what I'm saying is it doesn't matter to show up sometimes, and who we're showing up for doesn't reinvest and say thank you to us. I'm saying maybe we can organize about how to show up for somebody different. Maybe we could be lobbying in our state houses, not just in Annapolis and Maryland, all across the country, to open primaries everywhere so that every eligible registered voter, because it's about 850,000 last I checked in Maryland, they don't get to vote in June. You wouldn't have to go ask the same people who are set in the same way for their vote if they were the only people that could vote for you.
And also think about this: if a person doesn't feel heard, if a person, and not just heard in the sense of we're gonna have this forum and allow you to share your truth. Who gives a damn about that if it ain't reflected in policy?
Right. No, it's not about being heard. It's
If
about
I'm not
moving.
represented, if I don't have equity in what this process is, then why shouldn't I go somewhere where I do feel like I have equity in? Even if people feel like it's doomed to fail. You know how many people felt like Trump was doomed from the beginning? I was one of them. By the time the election actually came around, I was like, oh, he might actually win.
You gotta stop believing that not showing up is a protest in some type of way. I saw somebody had a meme that said, if our vote didn't really count like they said, then why are they making so many voter restriction laws to keep us from the polls? We've got to assume our power back. They understood it in the days of Fannie Lou Hamer, and in the 60s during the Civil Rights era, we got the voting bill passed, and we need to understand it again and show up. We cannot keep sitting home because we don't like the candidate, thinking that our non-vote is a vote for our conscience. Conscience don't write no policy, and neither does emotion. The person who gets sworn in on the right day that won the general, not the primary election, is who writes everything. He who has the gold makes the law.
You cannot
But we also
you
need to
cannot
be involved in the development of our politicians. We need to be involved in how we develop our politicians and the people that we actually put up to run against one another. The folks, people were not ready for Hillary because of Bill Clinton. And even though she had all the wonderful things of being a Secretary of State, she'd been a senator, she'd been the wife, she'd done all that. The Republicans hated she and Bill. And so when we sit down and look at how we as a community were so detached, we're not looking at the candidates that are being put up and whether or not they're viable.
You can dislike a candidate, but still you have to vote. Even if you don't like one of the presidential candidates, it's nobody else on the whole ticket that you feel like you need to vote for.
Right.
It's nobody locally
no problems
at your state. You know what I mean? You got state and then you got federal. Like,
Right.
you know, so like let's literally chop it up. And like that's my thing. Like I'm all for the whole idea of if there's not a candidate before me that I can vote for, don't vote. I actually do believe in that. But I don't believe that there's not a candidate on
That
this
you
whole
don't need to
ticket
show up to the
that
booth
you don't
for.
need to show up to the booth on.
Right. But
You
they
know
don't
what I mean?
usually know
Like-
about them. They don't usually know
And
about
that's the larger and that's the larger
See,
issue.
they're
The
not
larger
even
issue
understanding
the
who they
larger
are in their
issue is
platform.
the larger issue to my belief at least is that we have such an uneducated electorate about the process of political
Exactly.
policy. You know what I mean?
And also where
and
power
we can't
actually
just put
lies.
that on the people because it used to be taught in schools. It used
We
to be
don't
something
teach
that
them
was
in front of
so you can't necessarily just be mad at people for being disinterested or divested from the process because we are ignorant to the process.
Right.
We don't know what our power is and we don't know what power we have over our elected officials. Look, I have never met with one of our elected officials that felt intimidated. Because bruh, if you're really an enemy, we can get you the heck up out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, you're accountable to me. I don't answer to you. You know, and that's the way that we as a people need to be able to address
That's the way we
and
need to.
deal with these politicians. Like, yo, they work for us.
Not only is it that we don't teach civics, but what we teach is incorrect because what we teach is mostly just about the federal. That's why you have people that are protesting police brutality marching on Washington when it's an issue that's decided in every state by your local state legislature. So what you actually need to do is march on your state capital because there's very little that anyone in Congress could ever really do about police brutality. But that's not what we teach you.
That's why you have people tweeting Lieutenant Governor when he's trying to explain how local school budgets work and tell him that his position is a local elected position. You tell the state to skip process and procedure because you want to fix a problem right now because it's wrong. That's a slippery slope, bro.
Here's
And you don't want to go down that route. Because guess what they going to come do next? They going to come and do some other things that weren't as emotionally attached to you as your students. That passion has to be curated, cultivated, and diagnosed and sent directed to a specific place to go where a long-term, sustainable solution can be that does not put more people at risk of losing their civil liberties.
Problem is that lets him off the hook, that lets other people off the hook, that people come at. Look, if people want to come at the lieutenant governor, then let them. Because at the end of the day, because I watched what he did today. And he did it pretty well. But the problem with what he did is, because he very eloquently just pointed his finger at North Avenue. But at the end of the day, he's talking about, why don't you guys talk to North Avenue about what are going on and all that.
But that's what Marsha's saying.
No. And
As parents and community, it is supposed to be us.
we are doing that. But
No, we
you
aren't.
should be doing that.
No, we aren't.
Nobody went to North Avenue till their child
First of all,
was cold.
you can't tell me I'm not doing
They knew it was
that.
going to be cold last week.
You
They
said
knew
we.
it was cold a
So
month
you
ago.
can't say
but there
So
aren't
people
enough.
are.
It's evident by what we have.
It's not enough. So say it's not enough. Don't say
what we
we
have to
aren't.
take
And that's
some
the
of that
There
problem.
aren't enough of us
Like,
doing
We're
it.
gonna close out because we've got to get ready to wrap up. Although since it's been such a lively discussion, we're gonna work on seeing how we can have some more of these and how we can get you all involved, because part of what this is making sure that people understand, like Kat and Aaron and Marcia have all said, what is happening and what your power is and how you can make the changes.
And to take it back.
And how you take it back, how you figure out where, we're gonna have to track who does what on the school situation in Prince George's and in Baltimore, and finding out, because as I say, they need to respond to you in January because they want you to respond to them in June, and then they're gonna want you again in November. So we're gonna be keeping it in track. We call it Just Politicking. Thank you for joining us. We're gonna let our folks close out with a quick 30-second word, and then we're gonna get out of here.
Give our schools the damn money they need to educate our kids.
Yeah.
Drop the mic.
Find me on Twitter. I'll help explain the process, the procedure, and where the money should go. Who spent it wrong in the first place.
And all I'm gonna say is get everybody to vote, get all your family involved, make certain that every community, school, everything that you need, all the resources, be it a grocery store, because we have far too many food deserts that are impacting our children as well. Let's make certain that we get involved in our community associations, and make certain that we find everybody that we need to vote.
And I want to thank you for joining us. And don't just vote. If you also want to have power, help someone by donating. So you can go to us at advocateangel.com, and $5. You can do $5 a month. You can do $20 a month. We appreciate your support. We love it here in Baltimore. Thank you for having me in Baltimore City, and you guys have a great night.